Well, it was a great weekend, though, for Acacio da Silva. Although he was born in Portugal, he lived here in Luxembourg for 14 years. Most of his family is still here, and so the Luxembourgeois felt as though they were cheering a home man yesterday. He'll lead the race out of town. And we're off now to the Flemish Ardennes, and after the predictions by Paul Schoen and myself that Pedro Delgado is going to win this Tour, I don't think, Richard, we'll say who's going to win today, but we expect a Belgian rider to try for the finish on the motor circuit of Francorchamps.
Thank you, Phil. Those two not alone, of course, in putting a couple of bob on Pedro Delgado, but the latest odds, as we've heard, Laurent Fignon, the new favourite, at 9-4 with most bookies. Delgado now 4-1, Roche 9-2, Sevens Andy Hampston and Fabio Parra, 10-1 Broekink, who was in yellow after the opening day, and 12-1 Stephen Rooks, who was second, of course, last year. You can get 40-1 Sean Kelly and 50-1 on Robert Miller. A quick word about the route, which takes an anti-clockwise trip around France this year. 2,023 miles in total. It, of course, started in Luxembourg. It's the shortest tour for something like 84 years. That'll make it an anxious tour as well. A lot of riders will fancy their chances of some stage wins. We take the Pyrenees in first and then the Alps, but whichever order they come in, they're tough anyway. Quick look at the overall classification. Acacio da Silva is in yellow. He's the first Portuguese rider to lead the race. Second is Lilholt. Third, Fignon. 4, Thierry Marie. 5, Pascal Simon. And 6, Gerard Rouet. Today the race leaves Luxembourg, winding its way through into Belgium. 241 kilometres, 150 miles in total. It's another relatively flat stage, which should suit the sprinters. But as Phil has said already, nobody is making predictions anymore.
There's no doubt about the champion of the weekend, though, here in Luxembourg. It's Acacio da Silva, the Portuguese, the first Portuguese rider to wear the yellow jersey. But in his adopted city of Luxembourg, he now has the chance to read all the nice things the papers have to say about him. Leading two as a happy man, Laurent Fignon, now set for a good Tour de France, satisfied with his weekend in the city. But once it was out on the open road after 14 kilometres at Mersch, the first catch sprint won by Johnny Tarlon of the Panasonic team, and Tarlon was winning again at Tondel after 35 kilometres. Noticeable that Paul Sherwin saw Johnny Tarlon in deep discussion with his manager Peter Prost this morning, and perhaps he's decided to go for this series because he won again, third in a row at Noville after 115. At Wielschum, it was Ludo Peters who won there, with Jean-Marie Wampers in second place, the rider who won the Paris-Roubaix Classic earlier this year. Well, here's the field now, at last beginning to show signs of life. That was a glimpse of Sean Kelly, and the rider looking over his shoulder here is Gerrit Zolleveld from the Superconflex team. Kelly just passing through Vincent Barteau. The riders have found this course very, very tough, but as one would expect in the last 40 kilometres, now the attacks are coming furiously for the finish on the rotor racing circuit of Francorchamps. Everybody beginning to talk here about Sean Kelly. They say he is actually looking and riding very, very strongly indeed. Well, the finish here today on the circuit is absolutely a Kelly finish.
Well, it definitely is, Bill. It's an uphill finish. It's a hard finish. Not really one for a sprinter, one for a hard, strong man, especially after the race that we've had today, because attacks have been going all the time. And there it looks like, I think Yogi Muller going away from Israel Alcala, actually.
Mexican rider, Alcala, on Kelly's PDM team. It might well be the PDM boys are going to try and monitor the attacks here and hope they can put Kelly into any move that might go away. Patrick Tolhoek there, 208. The riders entering their last 40 kilometres now to the line. Thus far today, no problems for the new race leader, Acacio da Silva. It has gone very much according to plan, the second longest stage of the Tour de France. And it really is the most difficult part of Europe, the undulations of the Ardennes. We crossed over the highest point in Belgium not very long ago. And of course, Belgium mainly a flat country, the high point just over 3,500 feet. And the main field breaking up all the time now as different riders try to get a move underway. The circuit of Francorchamps itself very undulating indeed, and it is a good circuit for anybody who can finally get stuck into a small breakaway. Christian Chauvet sitting at the back here. He was the rider in that chasing group of three yesterday which was swept up before the finish in Liège. And Jesper Skibby also in this move. Looking down the group here, no signs of many of the Carrera team, who should be marshalling any breakaway in protection of Da Silva. Da Silva moving across to the Italian Carrera team this year. Number 46, Thierry Marie. Specialist in the prologue time trials, but he didn't quite make it this year. But nonetheless, because of that fine ride by the Super U team, Laurent Fignon's squad yesterday, Thierry Marie is now in 4th place overall in this race. He won't stay there too long by the time we get to the mountains. 3, 6, 9, 10 riders trying to go clear. 196 men started out this morning. 2 riders eliminated late last night after the computer worked out the delay in the team time trial. Johan Capio from the TVM team at Phil Anderson's squad, he's gone out, eliminated. And one of the Spanish Kelmer riders, Manuel Guijarro. So we're down to 196. Still these 10 men. As you can see, the shadows here on the road. The sun has come out almost on cue as we cross the border from Luxembourg into Belgium. A border now as part of centralizing the European community. There isn't really a border at all now between Belgium and Luxembourg. It's interesting to note that you can spend your Belgian francs in Luxembourg, but they don't allow you to spend Luxembourg money in Belgium. So let's see if we can give you the basis of the composition of this group at the moment. Number 218 is Jesper Skibby. Marshall Gaillon is here. He wears 182. 154 is Chauvet from the Fagor team. 169 is Von Slijk. And number 12 just passing through there, that is Raul Alcala. And I think it's fair to say that Alcala was the man who started this break. And as you can see, the gap opened up. An interesting move indeed that Raul Alcala, a man on the inside, and that's Martin Early on the inside here, number 15, but we're back with the bunch, and there is Sean Kelly to the right of our picture. So the PDM team slowing down the chase here. They've manufactured a lead for Raul Alcala, and I would think that nobody would have looked to Alcala to try and slip away at this stage of the race. The TVM riders also in the blue and yellow jerseys here blocking for their man in the breakaway. So the breakaway may well have started. The circuit of Francorchamps is not very far ahead, and then we have 14 kilometres, 2 circuits of the famous motor circuit to come. So join us after the break.
We're on the motor racing circuit in Spa-Francorchamps. Just 1 lap to go, that's 7 kilometres, and the main bunch about 1.5 minutes back.
And here they come. And they get the bell this time now. Alcala racing to gain time over the field, while the other 3 will try to get the stage win. And the Frenchman Thierry Marie, who's not helping at all in this breakaway, could still be the man in yellow tonight if the clock plays it that way when they cross the line. This is still the remnants of the original group here. This is Pensek.
Pensek really has slipped up there, letting Madio jump away from them, because Pensek is one of the riders the Z Peugeot team would be looking to try and do a ride overall in this Tour de France, and it's a pity he's missed a move like that, and he shouldn't have done. Maybe a minute's inattention, he let Madio slip through his fingers.
Well, since Madio joined the group, he hasn't offered any help, but he's getting ready to now, because he's gone round Marie. Marie's staying last man, he's not helping at all. And now we're getting a lot more movement in the bunch. They're coming down the descent towards the line, so the gap is not impossible to close, although there'll have to be a really special effort to do something about this now. Sweep down at least 50 miles an hour as they then cut the corner tight and start the steady drag up towards the finish. 5 leaders with 5 different missions. Thierry Marie hoping that he gets the yellow jersey, but doesn't want to do anything about taking Raul Alcala to the front. Alcala goes off in search of just gaining time over men like Fignon today, while the other 3, I think it's fair to say, are here to try and just win the stage. This is Tolhoek at the back, turned professional last year. He never won a race, but his performances were excellent for a first-year professional. And obviously, Jan Raas spotted that. He's pulled him across into the Super Complex team, a team that wins a lot of races, and they use all of their riders to win races, not just one leader. They ride very cleverly, tactically, and this time Tolhoek will now feel it's his turn. He actually shook his head there as Skibby says, come on, it's your turn, and I think he said, I'm feeling a bit rough and I don't want to do it. Well, the usual retort there, Paul, is if you can't do it, leave us alone, isn't it?
That's right, something like that. And it's always the first thing you say, I can't come through, I'm too tired. But especially when it's coming from a Dutchman, you're never really sure whether he's telling the truth or not. That's one of the things about Jan Raas. He's got a very well-drilled squad. And when he tells them that they've got to sit at the back on the last 3 or 4 kilometres, there's not very many of them disobey his orders.
Madio, having done his turn at the front, goes behind Marie. And he'll try to coax Marie to go forward in this line and do some work. Alcala comes back, he's done his bit. Then comes Tolhoek. He's the rider doing their bit, keep the pace high just a little bit, and then drop off. Jump into the slipstream of the man. There's Skibby, and you see Tolhoek has dropped and left a gap and made Skibby go into it. So he's not doing his full turns anymore. It might be he's tired, it might be he's just trying to hold something back for the sprint. It's a tough finish. It's not a pure sprinter's finish by any means. It's a finish, in fact, for Raul Alcala, but I think he's given away most of his energy trying to keep this breakaway clear.
These riders now all looking at each other for little telltale signs to see if there's any weakness there. Skibby's done a lot in this breakaway as well. He's looking around all the time to check and make sure the others are going to come through. There you've got Thierry Marie on the front now. He's obviously decided that he wants to try and keep this breakaway away now that he's sure that the break's not going to be too dangerous for Laurent Fignon.
Plenty of effort left in the face of Thierry Marie. He's not a man in trouble, that's for sure, even though he's not working so hard. This is just Skibby's second Tour de France.
Very dangerous for the moment, this field, because they're all starting to look at each other, and I've heard that Van Slyke has now managed to jump away from those other 2 companions in the breakaway behind, and he's 20 seconds from these riders now. If he comes up to this group, it's very dangerous for them, because he'll be one of the best finishers here now.
Big Van Slyke trying to cross the gap. If he does that, that could be the end, because he's a good finisher. Marc Madio on the right, looking across them, trying to urge them on a little bit. Everybody in this group is now sensing that this is the psychological point on the circuit, the long drag. The Grand Prix motorcyclists would have noticed this drag yesterday, but these riders with the legs will.
Well, they're all twitching now, Phil. They're all waiting. Everybody's expecting on this last climb for one of the others to attack. They're all waiting for the first one to attack, to react, to make sure nobody gets away, and they'll leave it up to the sprint. But you can see Tolhoek at the back there. He's just teeing himself up. He's waiting, and I think it won't be very long before he has a little dig on this climb.
Madio having to do more work, but constantly looking around to his left, to his right, to his left, to make sure nobody makes a jump. Skibby tests the water. Madio takes his wheel, and Marie, you see, very quick into the 3rd place. He's not tired by any means. He's waiting and watching. Alcala goes, that's the place he has to go, and he has the legs by the look of it now. Marie has hesitated, and it's been left, in fact, to Skibby to go after him. Well, Alcala started the original breakaway of 9. He forced the sprint to put these men in the lead, and now he's trying to go for what will certainly be an excellent win at this stage of the Tour de France for the Mexican. Well, everybody expected a Belgian rider or a Dutchman to win a stage, but certainly no one will have marked down for a Mexican winner today. So Raul Alcala makes his move, but the reaction is coming quite quickly from the other four.
Yeah, it looked there as if it was Thierry Marie who came to the front and tried to chase him there. And that motorbike is placed very, very badly, Phil, because it acts as a carrot to the chasing riders. And I don't think really he should be there. He should be on the other side of the road away from the race, because he's actually falsifying the race a little bit.
So the gap is opening. This is the moment of hesitation. If you wait more than a minute, the chances are you will never cross this gap.
Looks like Thierry Marie there trying to respond. He's the one who's used the least energy up in this break, and he's the one going away around the corner there, trying to bridge the gap up to Raul Alcala. But Alcala really has flown away here.
Well, Alcala has come here with great form. It was evident in the Tour of Switzerland when he was setting the pace for the PDM team on the mountains, and yet not actually trying to race to victory. They were using the race as a training race, so he has the form. And look at this now.
Now they really are hesitating, Phil. This is what it's got to be good for Alcala. It's really down to Thierry Marie. He's the one who's been sat at the back of this break for the most time, and I think the other two are making him pay for his efforts, because you notice Skibby and Carl Hook from the Super Convex team, they weren't going to help Skibby now. They weren't going to help Thierry Marie, sorry, after what he'd been doing to them earlier on in the race.
Under the kilometre kite, and Raul Alcala is going to take this one for Mexico unless they make a very fast decision. It's a long run down and then a short uphill dash, and the uphill bit will certainly suit Raul Alcala. This has been a great ride by the PDM team. They've worked this out today. All eyes would have been on men like Sean Kelly, and Alcala has gone out front, found the right group, and Marie, who had the lot to gain but wouldn't push it home because one of the danger men of the Tour was in this breakaway. Alcala has now found himself a victim of the chase, because Alcala has gone, and the three others say, well, if he's the danger man, you chase him, we're not. He's losing time now. This will be the first ever win by a Mexican, because I'm certain that Alcala has never won a stage before, and he's going to take it up the line. It's 6.5 hours, a long day today, but the chase is now after him. Too late. Raul Alcala, the first Mexican winner of this surprising Tour de France. Alcala crosses the line. Skibby gets second. Toluc was third. He wasn't so tired, was he? Marie was fourth, and Madio was fifth. And now the clock, this is Rick van Slyke coming into view. But of course, it's the clock now that will decide whether Thierry Marie will take the leader's yellow jersey. And I'm not too sure how far behind. It was a matter of 3 or 4 seconds at the most behind the winner for Marie. So about 2 minutes 45 is what will be required. There's nothing like that. They're right on from the field now. So the day has been saved for Acacio da Silva, the Portuguese rider. Should manage now to pull on the leader's jersey again, as it's a great sprint enacted here right on the line. And the rider who took that sprint, as a very tight one it was too, is Frédéric Guichot. Rather determined sprint there by Frédéric Guichot. But no sign of Kelly in the sprint. He'll be happy though with the news that his teammate Raul Alcala has brought the goods home today. So a great victory for the Mexican Raul Alcala. He really worked hard for that and deserved the win. He was the best rider in the break. He initiated the move and the split, and then proved his strength by going clear at the end.
Yeah, I feel very happy now, because in my life is my first time win stage, but I feel good for the moment.
And when did you think that you were going to stay away to win?
Yeah, in the last 5 kilometers, you know, when the group don't come behind, I think I can win this stage. It's the moment, and then I attack in the last 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers.
And what did you think of Thierry Marie? Because a lot of the riders were a bit worried about him sitting in the wheel.
Yeah, he stay in the wheel, but I think he stay in the wheel because you don't have more power in the legs. But I attack in the best moment, you know, because always waiting, and I attack right away.
And that's the 1 to 6 today. Alcala, Jesper Skibby, Patrick Tolhoek of the Super Convex team, Thierry Marie, Marc Madio, and 6th, Rick van Slyke of the Histor outfit. Sean Kelly, incidentally, 8th, tucked away in the main bunch. The overall classification, Da Silva stays in yellow, but that might not be the case for very much longer.